Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at how to keep going through difficult times, to find resilience. I don't know about you, but there's so many challenges in our world today. We've got pandemics, we've got global warming, and we've got personal issues in our own lives. I was talking to a couple counsellor just a few days ago who was telling me that she's never known so many couples coming to her with broken relationships and thinking of splitting up and getting divorced. So today we want to talk about how to find resilience in these tough times and to find that staying power through the ups and downs of modern life. And we're taking some tips and advice based on some literature from a charity called Tearfund. They produced a wonderful little booklet called World of Difference. And we're just going to use a couple of points from them as headlines. My name is Colin. I'm an accredited counsellor and working with Baptist Church in Hockliffe Street in Leighton Buzzard. And every week or so, Rachel and I do these advice videos to help people live a life of hope. Rachel, could you please introduce yourself and let us know how you feel about finding resilience through life's ups and downs?
It's nice to be here. I'm a professional counsellor and part-time psychology teacher, and my own take on resilience is that lately I found it quite difficult to be resilient at times. So this is a very good topic for me. I'm wondering, Colin, what's your reaction to life's ups and downs?
Yeah, well, I can get tired and run down and discouraged, and it's helpful to have support and strategies to help me through these things. So this Tearfund booklet has been really quite useful.
I wonder what you think if I say the word resilient, what comes to your mind? A definition I read was being able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Our whole society, indeed our whole way of life in a sense, has been shaken up by COVID-19 and its variants. It never seems to be out of the news these days. Another definition of it I read about said that resilience is a bit like bouncing forwards. I wonder if you feel like you've got any bounce or spring in your step at the moment, or if you feel somewhat washed out or depleted by recent events. And we're showing you a slide, which is really kind of sums up what I feel coming out of lockdown at times, and that is a bit of sensory overload. I kind of feel like things are coming at me from all directions at times, and I love seeing people. I'm very much a people person, but at times it's been a bit overwhelming, and I'm wondering how you feel. Now, Christian charity, we've already been mentioned by Colin, Tearfund, has got some good ideas about how to cultivate resilience in people that live in very tough conditions in their communities, and they can help us. And slide 2, which is coming up, is of a plant that basically is growing in very tough conditions, a bit like these Christian communities, or maybe you feel you're trying to grow in very tough conditions at the moment. And this plant is growing out of the side of a wall, as you can see. And basically, one wonders where it's getting its nurturance and nutrition from. Basically, this plant, to me, typifies resilience because it's keeping going when things are tough. And that's what being resilient means. And places like Tearfund aim to build on people's strengths. They don't want to just give them loads of stuff, throw food and money at them, because sometimes that results in communities being just as depleted as they were before. They want to build resilience. They want to empower communities. And that's our hope today, to sort of help each other really to build up resilience and empower, because we need that when we're living in quite tough times. So in a sense, Tearfund, when they empower people by showing them how to grow crops or whatever it is, or maybe just helping them with certain sources of water or whatever, help people to bounce forward when they're in challenging circumstances. So it helps people to help themselves. And we feel a lot better when basically we're able to do things for ourselves. I know I certainly do, than just having things given to us all the time. And in slide 3, which is coming up, there is a picture of a spring. I don't know if you're familiar with these child's toys, which are springs, but to be resilient, we need a bit of spring in us. We need a little bit of kind of leftover resources to draw on. And we're going to try and help you if you're feeling somewhat depleted today. And I know I have been in the recent past, basically to just get a bit of spring into you so that you can flourish even in challenging circumstances, a bit like that plant we saw. And some of the strategies that Tearfund brought out, which I thought was so useful for me and hope will be useful to you, is that we need to be aware that change in life is inevitable. You know, life is always going to change. There's always going to be something that will change and maybe be different from what we expect, and just try and accept it. Years ago, when I was struggling as a new teacher, when I first started out, another very experienced teacher said to me and smiled, "Just go with the flow, Rachel." And that is advice that I've never looked back on. I've really found it helpful. Another thing to do is when you find yourself in tough circumstances, rather than hiding away from them, try turning to face them and thinking about things you can do to tackle them. I find that really helps. It's kind of the opposite of learned helplessness, where we just give up and stop trying. Also, wherever you can, try to build good relationships with other people. When we're facing tough situations, it can be very easy to feel nobody cares really about me, and we can feel really, really in a bad place as a result of that, especially if we're distressed. It's frequently the case, though, that if we reach out to other people, they're very understanding. And I found that to be the case. Sometimes we just think that nobody cares, but we need to reach out and connect with others. One of the things that helps me the most when I'm very stressed is reaching out to God. I imagine him smiling at me. And one of the things it says in the Bible that I find helpful is, give all your cares to him, that's God, because he cares for you. And my final point that I've taken from Tearfund, which I found useful as well, because all too easily I can crumble if I'm not feeling very resilient, is to hold on to hope. So when you feel challenged or stressed, look for the good things. These could be really small good things as well as big good things, like having a nice hot cup of tea or coffee, or a nice cool drink, having a good friend, or appreciating the warmth of the sunshine on my face. And I'm now going to hand over to Colin for some thoughts that he's got on resilience.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Let me summarize Rachel's points now. Firstly, accept that change is part of life. Secondly, be determined to take action. Thirdly, keep connected with others. And fourthly, hold on to hope. I also have a few thoughts based on that booklet. Moving on from Rachel's points is point 5. Struggles can help you know yourself better. That's an interesting point, which I thought was so true. I mean, none of us like struggles, loss, or disappointment, but I know through personal experience that these are the times when you get to know more about yourself, and they do build character in you. I mean, often people who have gone through grief and hardship find that they've deepened relationships, and things feel different. There's a saying in the Bible: suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. So as I look back on those times when I've lost a job or lost a loved one, and how I coped and where I found support, I look back and I see that I'm a different person now to what I was before those times. That my character's improved. Hopefully, I think I'm better in so many ways. My faith has been strengthened, and also what's interesting is I appreciate life more. I don't take things so much for granted as I once did. So if you're going through struggles and hard times now, please remember that it may be some positives going to come out at some point soon. Who knows? But it's really important not to get isolated, to reach out, to get support, and to take care of yourself, and to be kind to yourself. not to expect too much of yourself if you're going through a hard time, and make allowances for yourself as well. Point 6, take steps towards your goals. I mean, I must ask the question, do you have goals and plans? I know if you've had struggles or been through a lot recently, as many of us have, it can become easy to become paralyzed and stuck during times of trouble like this. But there's a great benefit in just trying to think a bit forward, trying to make some plans and goals to develop yourself, because it's really important to do that. But make those goals achievable, because unachievable goals and perfectionist thinking can really undermine us and can be very destructive. The other thing to bear in mind, which is something that I've found very helpful myself, is to take satisfaction in your achievements as you go. To reward yourself. It's so easy to get on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. But to take that time out to savor the moment and to think I've achieved something, and to feel good about it can be very powerful in your life. And to have a mindset that it's good to be continually learning, to keep continually developing, rather than feeling like some people I've met over the years who've said, "Oh, I'm too old to learn now. You know, that's this part. I'm past all that." Because I don't believe that. I believe that we can learn at any age. You're never too old to learn. In fact, it's important to keep developing yourself. It staves off all sorts of illness if you do that. It's really good for you. And to know that you can always contribute to society, no matter what age you are, is so important. Number point 7, try not to feel overwhelmed. I don't know if you thought about this, but God never made us to live a life without challenges and without stress, but we can be overwhelmed or feel overwhelmed. So what helps me particularly, is to know that God is with me and never promises to let me have too much that's beyond what I can cope with, too much temptation, what I can take. And it's in my experience, I've found that it's often the internal drive and dissatisfactions with myself that really does tip me over. Not what's happening outside so much. It's more that stuff that's in me. So it's important to look around for support. It's important to be kind to yourself, but also to find those inner resources in yourself, like remember those memories, maybe of people who've nurtured you in the past, those who've helped you feel safe, and where you've gone for wise advice, to draw from some of those good times when you're going through struggles. That can make a big difference. Finally, point 8, see yourself as God sees you.
Yeah.
This is so important in a world where we're led to feel like a bit of a number. I know a lot of jobs I've been, I felt just a number among so many others. And it's so easy to feel in our world, with all the media throwing stuff at us, we're only valued by how we look, what's on the outside, our latest fashions, the Botox or whatever we do to try and keep young. And we can feel we're just valued by what we achieve. It's all about our performance or what we own, about our status. But that's so different from how we should feel, because if we believe in God and know Him as somebody who's kind and who values us for who we are, not for what we do and what we achieve, that can make such a difference to our whole self-esteem and how we value ourselves. It's so different from keeping up with the Joneses. It's just a rat race then. So see yourself as God sees you. That really does change everything. Let me just summarize the last 4 points. Number 5, struggles can help you know yourself better. 6, take steps towards your goals. 7, try not to feel overwhelmed. 8, see yourself as God sees you. Rachel, what do you think about faith, and how has that helped you to be resilient?
Well, I'd like to use an example that I've experienced a couple of days ago. At the beginning of the week, I was feeling on tenterhooks, basically, waiting for some important news. And at one point, I mean, I don't know if you've ever felt like this, anyone, I felt I couldn't bear it if it wasn't the news I wanted. And I then decided the best thing to do was to ask God for help. And I found that suddenly I was able to feel calmer and more like myself again, get it all in perspective, realizing that the whole situation actually is in God's hands, not in my hands. And that helped me a lot. Colin, what do you think about faith and how it helps keep us going through thick and thin?
Yeah, well, I'm reminded for some words from the Bible that's encouraged me over the years. These are, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And my faith has helped me to know that there's an inner strength that I can draw from, that comes from God living in us. And I'm so thankful for those Christians who showed me so many years ago what it means to have a personal relationship with God. That He's not remote and distant or some powerful force like Star Wars. He's a real person in Jesus who I can have a relationship with, and that's made all the difference and changed me. Rachel.
Okay, well, we hope, guys, that you found some of what we've shared useful, and please feel free to message us on our Life of Hope Facebook page, and we look forward to you joining us again in the future. Nice that you were with us today. Bye-bye.